Morning, everyone. Okay, I'm on the philosophy of education part of the assignment. This was actually really interesting. I completed my inventory of philosophies of education, and I fell under the progressivism arc of education, which, in all honesty, is exactly me. Like, reading about the example and how Mark was talking about how students need to have an integrated curriculum. I actually marked it in my book saying, yes, this is exactly yes, integrated curriculums are really important. Being able to do different things under different things, be able to go outside and do yard work and you learn biology, geography, you know, graphic design and architecture. You learn anatomy and, about plants, about the sun, about the stars. It's like it's everything brought in. Then you learn literature in some kind of way, and all of that brought into one big lesson is a big thing, especially since the world is forever changing, and it just seems like the education system is holding students back. So, like, yes, I very much so agree with the results. I actually wrote down with some of the questions. One of the questions said education should be a responsibility of the family and community rather than delegated to formal and impersonal institutions such as schools. And I noted, I said, yes, like we should encourage families to teach, reteach, and teach more, teach further to the students in a more community setting. Like it's not just mom and dad talking to their son, it's mom and dad plus the neighbor three doors down and maybe the old lady who lives upstairs in the apartment complex or the Arab couple who lives down the hall or I don't know. It's everyone should be teaching younger minds and informing them about different cultures, different ethnicities, different modes of thinking, different ways to think, and how to push their own individual practice so that they can apply different methods to the same thing everybody's learning. They can sit in the classroom all they want and take notes, but if they're not applying it places, if they're not taking it in for themselves, then what good is it doing? And I read further to page 188, student-centered philosophies, less authoritarian, less concerned with the past and training the mind, and more focused on individual needs and contemporary relevance, and preparing students for a changing future. Yes, double yes, triple yes, yes. Big thing. Like, that's the biggest thing that I see even with just watching children younger than me. And hopefully when I do my field observations, I'll be able to see that as well and apply that to the notes that I take and my observations. Like I'm really going to be looking for, or looking rather from this perspective now going forward. Now that I'm able to put it into words and actually understand what I'm thinking and being able to understand why I think this way, and it makes sense now. I'm a progressivist thinker. I don't like to conform and restrict with standardized testing, which are all completely stupid and biased and don't work. It's not a good judgment of character, thought, method of thinking, even practice of study. It's standardized testing doesn't work. It doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't. We need to completely cut it out. And this actually reminded me of two of my teachers from school, from high school, in my junior year. My science, well, human anatomy, and my honors literature teacher, an interracial couple, Mr. and Mrs. Archer. They really, like, I could go to them after school hours and ask them a question both about my assignment and about real life, and they would treat me as though I were a mature adult and could understand complex ideas. Like I wouldn't have come to them in the first place if I wasn't trying to understand it. And they not only entertained it but furthered my investigation of it. They said go for it, keep looking for answers, keep looking for examples, keep questioning things, and push yourself to find those answers even further once you like come out of our control and our like power over you and well, I won't say power over you, it's their influence on me. Once I leave their influence, they push me to go further and look for what I want to know. And I really do appreciate, like, reading this instantly made me think about both of them. And they both shared their lives and where they came from and what they've learned over the years and how they went about thinking in that process. And it wasn't even just me, it was me and my classmates, my friends, their son was they raised their son to have individual thought processes. This kid is 6 now, maybe. And he's really young and he can already think for himself. He can already do things for himself, speak on complex things, and his parents don't treat him like he's a 6-year-old kid to a fault. Like, of course, some things a 6-year-old doesn't necessarily need to know until he's older, but there weren't very many things that they held from him. If he asked a question, they gave him an honest answer. If he didn't understand it, they explained it. And I saw this with my own eyes. And yeah, progressivism.